Welcome back. So, what influences the French decision-making process? How French people address business decision? I live in France and I work with French people, and I think that after several years I do have relevant experience and a unique insight into the subject. But before I give my personal views on this, I was digging into this and I found a good article specifically addressing this subject for Anglo-Saxon American professionals. And the findings were fascinating, highlighting, a few key friction points where, cultures clash. Specifically, the article zeroed in on the difference between the French obsession with philosophical rigor versus the American focus on speed and consensus. And in this video, I'll summarize, the key points of this article and conclude with a few insights from my personal experience. The profile of a French leader is fundamentally shaped by Cartesian logic, prioritizing, reason, order, and intellectual rigor above all else. This is not just a business strategy, it is a national intellectual tradition demanding that every solution must be perfectly deduced, and for French leaders, the decision must be logically sound. It must survive the most rigorous theoretical assault before it is worthy of any implementation. If you have ever worked with a French company, you know their decision process is slow, rigorous, and often feels like a PhD defense. But this is not inefficiency. This is a system rooted in centuries of philosophy. It is Cartesian and Hegelian logic applied directly to the bottom line. So the article highlights 3 points of French business decision-making: rigorous analysis, structured debate, and hierarchical finality. Let's start with the Cartesian rationalism, the relentless pursuit of logical perfection, otherwise known as Cartesian rationalism. For the French executive, an idea isn't good unless it is theoretically sound. They're not looking for a good enough answer. They're looking for the only logical conclusion. This is why you'll see deep dives into why the strategy works, not just how. The rationale must be flawless. This system demands methodical, step-by-step justification. There is no room for gut instinct. The next thing that shapes the French business decision profile is the Hegelian dialectic. In the French boardroom, disagreement is not a flaw, it is the essential tool for refinement. It works like this, you do have thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. The ultimate refined and robust decision is based on this process. So if you are arguing in a French meeting, you're doing it right, you're helping to forge the bulletproof conclusion. And the last point, after all that intellectual sparring, where does the final we come from? The decision is centralized and hierarchical. While, the debate is intellectual and widespread, the authority is concentrated. The final validation rests with the senior executive. So this ensures that once the conclusion, or the synthesis, is reached, it is communicated top-down without question and with absolute conviction, because the entire company trusts the decision because they know it survived a rigorous intellectual gauntlet before it was stamped with the boss approval. Now, for my personal take on the French business decision process, I see it as a simulation-based performance. The debating isn't just about facts; it is about collectively creating an imaginary future around the subject, detailing the entire ecosystem, and verbally justifying every single impact. This process is intensely theatrical. To survive this level of detailed, spontaneous description, you need a character and verbal richness. Hesitation is seen as weakness. You cannot take your time. You must recall an answer with spontaneity and sympa or pleasant animation. You're not just executing your thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. You must deliver it in a way that amuses and engages your counterparts. While it is fundamentally an intellectual debate, the proportion of animated, engaging character is huge. So one French, decision process style could be abstracted into three-part machine. Cartesian rigor to design the plan, Hegelian debate to stress test the plan, and centralized hierarchy to approve the final perfect result. The French executive is prioritizing stability and long-term resilience over the Silicon Valley mantra of speed and iteration. Now, I want to hear from you. Which decision-making culture would you rather be in? The methodical French approach or a quicker consensus-driven model? Let me know in the comments, and see you next time.